We're so happy to be with you. Welcome to an Aerie Real Life workshop. So how many of you have been a part of an Aerie Real Talk before? Excellent. Okay, so not that many. Excellent. All right, well, we do these incredible Real Talks in stores. Iskra's been a part of many of them. And now we're going to establish a longer format called an Aerie Real Life Workshop, where we're going to take some of the themes that we might bring up in store programs, and we're going to actually give you some more tools and framework and exercises to really dig into some of the topics that we know are most pressing in our lives right now. So welcome. My name is Jess Weiner. I'm a CEO and cultural expert. My focus is on women's empowerment and has been for the last 2.5 decades. I helped to launch the Dove campaign for Real Beauty, and a couple years ago I was part of the team that changed Barbie's body. And most importantly, I am incredibly honored to be partnering with Aerie on Aerie Real Life and our Real Talks. And I love this woman over here, so I'm going to introduce you to Iskra, who many of you already know.
Yeah. Aerie Real role model. It's been such an honor to be on this journey for over 5 years with the brand. I've been modeling for 15, and essentially because of my own experiences of rejection, body shaming within the fashion industry, and not fitting into sample size, and then also being told I didn't fit into plus size, it became my mission to disrupt the industry and to really prove that healthy body image and loving ourselves is the most important thing. So it's been very exciting, and to meet someone like Jess, who is a huge role model of mine, and to bring this to life, bring this to you, and to bring this to everyone at home. These are going to be takeaways. Like, this isn't just going to be a fleeting moment. This is going to be something that I hope you'll implement into your daily life, into your routine, share it with your loved ones, and keep evolving.
Because we talk so much in this culture about loving ourselves, right? You hear that all the time. Just love yourself. You need to love yourself. And I guess sometimes we wonder, how do we do that? Like, how do we actually do that? And there's so many components to that. A lot of it is body confidence, which we talk about. But when we talk about self-esteem, we can't talk about self-esteem in this culture without talking about social media. So today, Iskra and I want to delve into a little bit deeper, specifically social media mindfulness. How do we engage on social media? How does social media impact our sense of self-esteem and confidence? And what can we do collectively and individually to be more positive online, to contribute in a different way to that platform? So there's lots of things we could talk about with social media. I'm sitting next to the queen over here with over, what, 4 million followers?
Yeah, it's like over six on all my platforms.
So it's incredible. So we have great privilege and responsibility, whether you've got 2 or 2 million, right? We're going to talk about social media as a part of our everyday lives, but also as one of the biggest drivers and impact around community and self-confidence. And today we want to talk about how we are more mindful in that space. So to get started, let's just we're going to do a round robin throw out of what role does social media play? I'll get up and do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Woo.
I mean, you did like my writing.
I know, I really did. It's the teacher in me. I used to love to play teacher when I was little. But let's talk about what role social media plays in your life, right? So, and I would say for me, sometimes, look, I'm a late adapter, so I'm not a digital native. And so I had to learn how to be more public and performative in talking to people about things, because inherently I'm also a very private person. So I don't want you to know what I'm eating or where I am or those sorts of things. But what I love about it is it's become a real connector for me. I've been able to reach out and talk to people that I never would have met before if I hadn't been online. So for me, I'm going to say the role of social media in my life right now is both a connector and a distractor, because when I want to blow off an hour or 2 or 4, I can go down a rabbit hole. So just think about in your own ways, like what role does it play in your life right now? Just start to throw out some ideas. Let's start with you, my love.
Yeah, I want to put creator.
Ooh, very good. Okay.
It's allowed me to create so many things, not just like photo shoots, but relationships, work things. Like, it's really been a platform for me to create in so many senses.
I'm going to add that too, because I think that's right. People have built businesses off of that. Creator, platform, connector, distractor. How else might you describe social media in your life too?
It's an influencer.
Ooh,
so whether
tell me.
it's influencing restaurants or beauty products or
Social media is an
fashion,
influencer,
it's a great place to go and find things.
Absolutely.
That's say inspiration.
Ooh, love it. Yep.
Yeah, I think for me it's visual inspiration. So clothes, makeup, what my house could look like, but also just like life inspiration. Following Michelle Obama, like everything she says, every comment completely.
Right.
So
that was on the bathroom stall when I was reading a little bit about you. I was like, oh, Julie,
That's right. That's you.
That's her.
I've been seeing you every time I pee today.
Yeah, subliminally, I'm going to dream about you tonight. I'm going to be like,
amazing.
oh. And her Hogwarts picture.
I love it. Oh my gosh, really been studying quite a bit about you.
part of this whole experience.
Listen, this is what real talks are like, so we love it.
And that's very much like social media.
100%.
Imagine you've seen multiple pictures of me and I've told you things online.
Yep.
So this is how it feels sometimes. So what you're
right.
feeling right now, I might experience that with people all the time on the street where they're like, oh my God, you and your friend Natalie, I loved it yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, I shared that. So that means everyone sees that. I literally will forget a lot of the time that like I'm posting myself like in my undies, or I'm posting my relationship, or I'm posting my, and so people know that stuff. Sometimes it feels like I'm just putting it on my phone and like, and
it goes nowhere.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
It's very bizarre.
Actually, that's a wonderful example of how this. So I was going to say, is social media a friend for anybody, or a friend connector in that way? Like, have you found friends online?
I have, yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to add that in. What else? Tell me what more?
Knowledge and information.
Ooh, good job.
Nice. These are all pretty positive. I don't want to go negative, but is it, does social media make you think of any negative things for your life?
It's
Or?
an instant way for you to compare yourself to a slew of other people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Comparison.
Yep.
I think like another good thing is like it's good for like self-expression, because I feel like in the real world
Lovely.
sometimes people don't feel like they can express themselves, and I think online, like you said, is like a safe way to express yourself.
Yep.
Because like you said, you're posting things of like you in your underwear, and you're like, oh yeah, I posted that. So it's like your way to put yourself out there and be who you are and be true to yourself.
And it's interesting as well because I have such mixed feelings about that, in the sense that I love that you can create yourself online, and that seems like it's fun, experimental, But then the flip side is, if you're more happy with this person you've created online and you're not happy in your real life, like there's such an interesting conversation there.
And that's why I think we wanted to focus on mindfulness, because for us, mindfulness is about a way that we're going to be connected and tuned in to our role, not necessarily what's going on in other people's lives, but how we feel when we engage, create, react, think about our world on social media. Because it's so easy to point it out here. It's a lot more difficult to be mindful about how we are either a part of the problem or part of the solution. What else? Let's name off a couple of ways. So what role does it play in your life? Anybody in here a parent? Okay, well, when I've talked to parents before, they've said social media is a babysitter, right, in some ways, right? So I'll just add that into that mix.
I'd put community.
Great. What else? Let's get a couple more. Think about it. Think about your relationship to it.
It could be like a conversation because you're meeting other people and talking to them online.
And I think to Iskra's point, and all of these in theory are incredible pieces, but we could be in conversation with people we know, and then we can also be talking to people we don't know.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you ever had a choice to do, would probably never talk to that person, right? Or engage with trolls, or engage with, negative elements online. Is social media sort of a voyeuristic relationship for anybody? Anybody sort of like stalk around online a little bit, engage in communities where you don't self-express or you don't post, but you just watch?
I'm definitely a watcher.
Yeah.
I'm not a poster,
Yeah.
really. I'm more of a sponge. I absorb it, but I don't give it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
I think that's fair. Let's give a little bit more thought. Any other ways that you think this plays a role in your life? Anybody feel stressed out by keeping up with social media?
I feel responsibility.
Ooh, that's a great one, Is. That's good. Okay.
And then, it's keeping up. Like it's...
Like pressure. Anybody feel pressure?
If you don't check in for a while, it's like you're missing so many
Yes.
things.
It's another source of the 24-hour news cycle too.
Yes. Oh boy, we're running out of space. Okay. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So just to even give us a little taste, right? We love to take these big concepts and break them down. So we think about social media, and it's not one size fits all for everybody either, right? And maybe in all of these descriptions, we could be 4 of these things, right? 5 of these things, none of these things. Like our relationship to it is sort of a living, breathing piece, right? It exists, it's a platform or multiple platforms, but who we're being as we bring ourselves there is really what we're gonna talk
And I think
a lot about
today, hopefully giving ourselves time to figure out the impact it's having and in what way and how does it make you feel, because sometimes we're just going through the motions. I remember over last holidays I did 7 days, I switched my phone off and locked it away, like it was off. And that is more extreme because it wasn't just social media, it was like total phone. I didn't text anybody, but it was amazing how, like, I remember sitting there and I was like, my thumb's like, what? Like my thumb's like, where's my phone? And it for sure slowed time down. So I think we're just going through day to day, and like we're going to talk about screen time and all these other things, but it's like, how is it really making you feel? How much energy are you giving it? What's the impact it's having back on you day to day? Important things to talk about that we're just maybe not, and we're just in it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned two things that come to mind for me, especially as I mentioned being somebody who did not grow up with the internet. So I can absolutely remember going on long road trips and using a map and not calling anybody while I was driving, or even caring about checking in, or if I called them, I stopped at a payphone. So I'm whispering all the age issues, but I think to your point, what it reminds me of, it was pace. And it was communication. It was recognizing that the pace of which we are also communicating can create such a cycle of anxiety and depression and acceleration for us that we often don't get a moment to be mindful, to be able to like sit back and think about it. So when we talk about mindfulness, the reason why we mash these two concepts up is we often think about mindfulness with self-care, with yoga, with meditation, but we think in this day and age where you are digital natives, where people are, this is like the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's not going back in. We have social media, we have technology that allows us to connect so frequently, but who are we gonna be in all of that connection? Who are we gonna be in how we choose to create or self-express? So I have a question for you, Iskra. As you have grown in your career and have become more well-known, obviously social media is a tool. It's a creator and a platform for you to be able to connect to your audience. Can you talk about the evolution of that relationship? Like, was that an easy space for you to be in right away? Have there been moments, you talked about shutting off your phone, but are there moments where you ebb and flow, or are you just kind of in it and writing it out right now?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's just a relationship I'm constantly figuring it out, and I really give a lot of mindfulness to online, how I'm feeling, how I'm connecting, and so I've gotten to a really good place, because I feel like at the beginning I was speaking without being as careful about who was listening, if that makes sense. I was just kind of like, this is my page and da 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 da, but then I was kind of like, well, actually I feel this responsibility, but I also feel this purpose with my social media platform, and I think without purpose it can feel like a very surface place. So I have created like a create and consume ratio with my social media. It doesn't have to be for everyone. My mom, you know, she's not going to post anything ever, but she likes to see what everyone's doing. And if that works for her and it's a healthy space, that's amazing. For me, I wanted the create and consume ratio because I don't have that much time. I want to invest it in my own kind of energy of what I'm creating and putting out there, not just consuming what other people are doing. And that's just, again, a healthy tool that I learned for myself. Because there was definitely, it's very easy to lose a lot of time looking at what other people are doing. And that to me did a disservice to myself. Instead of investing the energy into things that I could create or be doing, or even in real life, I was missing out on those things. So I did that as a healthy tool for me. I was like, okay, if I spend an hour a day posting and creating and thinking about my captions, I'm not spending any more than an hour on anything else, just looking around. But I also think it is such a resource. I would never want to get rid of social media because, you know, it's helpful. It can be uplifting. You know, I like to keep in touch with people. It's just finding that balance.
But you said the most key word I think we might talk about today, which is relationship. You actually said, I have a relationship with social media. And I think even though it's somewhat of this inanimate object, or we think of it as something outside of ourselves, it really is. Every word that we put up there, sort of connecting or creating or even feeling distracted by or inspired by, that's what we get out of relationships. And so in relationships, usually there's a two-way street, right? There's a giver and there's a taker. And so I think when we talk about social media as a marketer, as somebody who studies culture, as somebody who's really interested in how we can shift culture person by person, I think we're at this really incredible turning point right now where we have democratized social media so that you can create and share your story in a way where you're not asking permission, right? We used to live in a world where if I wanted to write a story that we would now call a blog, I would have to submit it, you know, to a magazine outlet. I'd have to submit it to an editor who would have to judge that and review that, and there'd be thousands and thousands and thousands, and I may or may not get selected to have my voice out there. And so when you talked about self-expression, that's what I thought about. I used to be an editor at a magazine, and I remember all of the entries that would come in, right, for voices to be heard. And now I can just go online and there's an endless array. But with that comes great responsibility, right? And an opportunity to look at relationship a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.